Conclave is not art, it's propaganda. The main thesis of Conclave is that the teachings of the Catholic Church are too constrictive for human flourishing and joy. The author's problem is that it's simply not true. The truth does not support the premise of the author, so the author has to add evil traits to the traditional Catholic characters to make them seem worse than they actually are. The author isn't interested in debate, he is interested in manipulation. You can see it in how the conservatives are portrayed as evil. Even the moderates are evil, but the liberals are wholly good. Hello, I am Paulo Fabregas, a comic book artist and author. Please try to catch my series of comic books on Amazon. This is my comic book about the Battle of Lepanto, an exciting moment in history that nobody knows about. Please check it out. Now back to the video. Art is based on truth. Every artist has a particular bias, certainly, but if he wants his art to resonate in the world, he must base it on truth. Because of that, artistic storytelling has nuance, like in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, where it's difficult to tell who the bad guy is because the bad guy is violence itself, and I'll have a video about that coming soon. Even something like Lord of the Rings has nuance because while the good guys are undoubtedly the good guys, all of them can succumb to the temptation of the ring and become bad guys, as Frodo did at the crack of doom. Art is interested in sharing a truth that is based on reality. It's the reason why these works resonate. Propaganda, on the other hand, isn't interested in mining truth. It wants one thing: to convince you of their argument. They will skew the facts to support that argument and sometimes even outright lie to do so, like newspapers or the evening news. Conclave is propaganda. The central premise is that the Catholic Church needs to be liberalized because its teachings are stifling. It is sexist, homophobic, and Islamophobic. It's a worldview that needs to be updated. The author does not hide his bias. He reveals his liberal leaning in even how the characters are named. These are the papabile, or the popables in English. The papabile are divided into three: the evil conservatives, the evil moderate, and the good liberals. The good liberals are named in a goodly way. They are the previous pope's favorites. They are symbolized through the turtles, the pope's favorite pet animals in the Vatican. The turtles keep on getting crushed on the roads. The cardinals, like the turtles, hold a squishy secret inside of them that should crush their hopes of being pope. The hero of the film is Cardinal Thomas Lawrence, played by Ralph Fiennes. Lawrence means bright one, the shining one. His name is also Thomas. His key virtue is doubt. You see, for him, doubt is a virtue, and the greatest sin is certainty. He is the doubting Thomas, one of the 12 apostles. He is the hero of the piece. It is his doubt that makes him uncover the evils of the conservatives and the moderates. He also insists that he doesn't want to be pope and therefore most suitable to be pope. He has the vote of Cardinal Benitez, one of the other turtles. Lawrence's squishy turtle secret is that he is having a crisis of faith and that he doesn't pray. Cardinal Bellini means little beautiful one. His squishy secret is that he is ambitious and at one point was willing to compromise with evil moderate Tremblay. And then you have Cardinal Benitez, created as Cardinal in pectore, in secret by the previous good/liberal pope. Of all of the papabile, he is the favorite. His squishy turtle secret is that he is a woman who presents as a man. It's ironic that he is a woman because his name means son of the good, or the good son. These are the good guys. And what do the good guys believe? They doubt. They have the ultimate virtue of doubting. They doubt even the teachings of the church. Lawrence prays for a pope who doubts, and he gets one in the end. Benitez is as God made him, he says, a woman that presents as a man. The whole premise of the film is to make you doubt church teaching. For example, why can't a woman be pope? Bellini lays out his liberal stance for pope. He wants a common sense approach to divorce. He wants a common sense approach to homosexuality, and he wants to increase the role of women in the church. Common sense approach is a little vague, but it becomes clearer in their attacks to the evil conservatives. Also, seeing as how the story ends with a woman pope, it would seem that the author, through the liberals, want women priests, which even our supposed liberal Pope Francis has said a hard no to several times. The Catholic Church has its reasons, and it is not the purpose of this film to get into them. But it is an ancient Catholic practice, and the author wants to paint these practices in as bad a light as possible. The liberal stance on homosexuality comes into clearer light when he attacks the evil conservatives. The two evil/conservative papabile are Adeyemi and Tedesco. Cardinal Adeyemi is from Africa. His name means the crown of royalty befits me, or the crown is meant for me. The Pope is a sovereign. He has a crown and everything. Adeyemi is pure ambition. According to Bellini, Adeyemi is awful because he believes that homosexuals deserve to be in prison and that they all should go to hell. This is where the propaganda comes in, because none of those two things are Catholic stances. The Catholic point of view is that only mortal sin that has not been repented sends you to hell, in which case any number of sins do that, even heterosexual ones. Premarital sex, sex outside of marriage, watching porn, adultery, even contraception is a mortal sin. But as I said, nuance isn't important here. What's important is the propaganda. To drive this evil conservative narrative home, it is revealed that Adeyemi had an affair with a nun when he was 30 and she was 19. They have a son together. It is a sexual sin, kind of painting him as a hypocrite. And it's also implied that he being 30 and she being 19 is also an extra evil. Well, and quite frankly, I don't see it. Remove the whole nun-priest thing for a second. A 19-year-old woman is entering her reproductive prime, which ends when she's 28. After 28, a woman's fertility falls off a cliff. So it makes sense for a woman to get married at the age of 19 if she wants to have as many children as she can. Similarly, men enter their physical and mental prime when they hit 30. They're men, they have careers, they have the money to provide for a family, etc. But back to the video. This sexual scandal was discovered by Thomas Lawrence, of course, because his doubt leads him to the truth. As Lawrence delivers the news to Adeyemi that he will not be pope because of this transgression, Adeyemi weeps. It seems to be his one true desire. Indeed, he felt that the crown of the pope belongs to him. So the author is manipulating you here. Adeyemi's stance on homosexuality in the church isn't the actual church teaching. And to make sure that this stance is evil, he makes him an oath breaker, a sex abuser, a hypocrite who is ambitious. It is through Cardinal Lawrence that we uncover the truth about the evil moderate Tremblay. Tremblay, who is a French Canadian. In Canada, there was a Tremblay that proclaimed himself Pope a few decades back with scandalous accusations of kidnapping and sexual abuse. Tremblay, though a moderate, is guilty of simony. It is the only sin that belongs to the clergy. It is the sin of buying offices in the Curia. Tremblay was fired by the previous pope right before he died. He was also somehow manipulated by the dead pope into inviting the nun/former lover of Adeyemi to the conclave to cause a scene. Tremblay may have been following orders from the Pope, but because of Lawrence's insatiable doubt, the truth is discovered. His simony is revealed, his manipulation is revealed, and it shows that even moderates, compromisers with traditional Catholic beliefs, are evil. And the final member of this evil papabile is Cardinal Tedesco. He is the ultra-conservative. Tedesco is Italian for German, which is strange. Why would you have an Italian who is called German? So it makes you think of when was Italy and Germany so closely linked. Oh, I remember. Fascism. So they have called the evil cardinal a fascist without calling him a fascist. Cardinal Tedesco, Cardinal Fascist. What does Cardinal Fascist believe? He is certain, which is the cardinal sin of the movie. Not pride, mind you. Certainty. And according to Cardinal Bright Shining One Lawrence, certainty is the enemy of unity and the enemy of tolerance. So the question becomes, who should we be unifying with and who should we be tolerant of? The problem for the author, remember, he is writing propaganda, is that none of Tedesco's positions are inflammatory enough. What does Tedesco, the fascist, believe? He believes that everyone should be speaking Latin. If everyone was speaking Latin at this conclave, then we could all sit together and speak as one, and there would be more mingling. That's actually a pretty solid point. So how do we make him look more bad? Let's make him racist, and let's make him elitist. Let's make him a bad boss. As we're introduced to him, we observe him being polite to Cardinal Lawrence, but snapping and being very impatient with his underlings. So he treats his equals different from the people below him. Also, they make him a racist. As he makes the argument for an Italian pope to Lawrence, he points at Adiame, who is black, and says, "Would you rather that to be pope?" To which Lawrence leaves with disgust. The author is manipulating us to dislike his traditional Catholicism without even laying out his traditional Catholic view. Tedesco doesn't believe in religious tolerance. He believes that the church is the one true faith and that tolerance of Islam, especially in Europe, is not a good thing. This is based. Look, Islam and Catholicism have been in opposition with one another since Islam began in 610 Anno Domini. The Saracens conquered all of northern Africa by the sword. Yes, all of North Africa was Christian before. They entered the Iberian Peninsula and took it over for centuries. They tried entering France, but were repelled by Charles Martel. On the other side of the Mediterranean, they took over Constantinople and called it Istanbul, as it still is today. They tried to crush Vienna in the 17th century, but were repelled by Jan Sobieski and the Winged Hussars. These are ancient enemies, and they do not believe in the same God. Moreover, the religious intolerance goes both ways. Catholics are trying to convert Muslims, and Muslims are trying to convert Catholics. They disagree as to the methods of conversion, but that's a different video. Because both these religions think that theirs is the truth. But again, nuance isn't important in this story. Emotional manipulation is. As Tedesco, the fascist, is giving his speech against religious relativism, the little beautiful one, Bellini, says, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And Benitez, the son of the good, the woman, gives the speech that wins her the papacy. The theme of the speech, if I recall, is that the war is inside the church, not outside the church. There is an evil inside the church that we must battle, and that's the true enemy, these stifling traditions run by hypocritical, racist, intolerant, sexist men. He ends his speech by saying the church isn't its traditions or teachings. The church is what we do next. Needless to say, that is an outright lie. The Catholic Church has stood on three pillars: tradition, the magisterium, that is the teaching authority of the church, and scripture. It is with these three things that the church has stood for over 2,000 years, and in that time, none of its teachings have changed. In the end, the movie depicts the College of Cardinals as a cesspool of snakes trying to climb up the ladder of the papacy. Even the previous liberal/good pope is seen more as a strategist and a chess player than a holy man. Every artist has his bias. An author has a single thesis statement, and he develops it through a story, and you are convinced not intellectually, not by logos, but by your emotions, pathos. But a writer, if he's an artist, is beholden by the truth. He must tell a truth that pulls out from reality. It makes his argument so much more convincing and compelling. So instead of writing a fun and fair liberal versus conservative debate on the state of the church, the author manipulates the audience by A, misrepresenting Catholic traditions and teachings, and B, adding terrible traits to the characters that do not stem from those teachings: hypocrisy, racism, homophobia, elitism, Islamophobia. All of these traits focused on the traditional Catholics. And the liberals are wholly good, the wonderful liberal turtles of the Pope. Bellini fell to compromise, but only for a moment. The author's premise for Conclave is that the Catholic Church's teachings are too constrictive for personal joy. They're suffocating, and you feel that in the sound design. The sound design of this film is incredible. You hear Lawrence's breathing, and you're stifled in this terrible, awful conclave until a woman becomes pope. Then suddenly we hear the wind outside. Lawrence picks up a turtle and brings it back to the pool, meaning he's going to keep the new pope's squishy turtle secret that Benitez, the son of the good, is a woman. And the film ends with the laughter of nuns. A woman is now pope. The liberals have won. The women are happy. Conclave is not art. It is not fair. It is not balanced. It lies outright. It is propaganda against the Catholic Church, and it will undoubtedly win all of the awards. Thank you for listening. If you like this kind of analysis, please like and subscribe. This is what I like doing here in this channel. Also, if you're interested, please check out my books, links down below. And if you didn't like what you heard, thank you for listening, and maybe we can get into a discussion in the comments. See you guys, and God bless you.